We want to show you how we use vMix to gather inputs and stream them to YouTube. What you're looking at right now is the vMix software in its raw state. That is, we don't have anything ready to go to stream, but just to go over what we see the left side, which is sort of the ready and waiting input that we would use, and the right side is what's going on live. Below, we might have some others that aren't ready and waiting, but they could be. We call those inputs. Now, how do we begin? Well, we add some real inputs. So we click on Add Input, and we look for something that we want to add. Let's start with something that's very common, an image. An image would be like a JPEG file, and we might click on, say, this first one here, and click and say OK, and there you have it. That image is right here as the first input. It also showed up, because it's the only one at this moment, in the ready and waiting and the go live. Let's get a second image in here. Go back to image. We'll click this one, says begin Sunday. We'll say OK, and there it is. So now we have two images. Now, if we want to put the second image in a ready and waiting, all we do is click on it. Now, how does this work? Well, presumably the image on the right is streaming, but when we're ready to move to the image on the left, we just hit one of these different ways to get there. One way is cut, and there it goes to the right very quickly. Or we could move an image another way. We could fly rotate it in, and you'll get the effects. There it goes. Okay, so that's how they work. One's ready, one's streaming, and when you're ready to move the one that's ready into streaming, you just click it on in. Well, those are images, but streaming is mostly about cameras and audio, so let's go to that. We're going to add another input. Again, there's lots of different inputs that you can use here. But we'll just select the common ones here. Camera. Now, presumably, you have some cameras on, ready to go. That was shown in another video that we did on how to set up the hardware. But let's just say that we have a camera ready to go. The only one at the moment is actually the camera that's on the computer that I'm talking into. So we're going to click on that. And this one's called the integrated camera, and there we clicked on it. Now there's a number of things you can do. You can click OK, and it moves on. We can go through these details later, but let's not for now. We just want to learn how to get it going. We click OK, and there's the integrated camera. Let's say I want to put the integrated camera in the ready and waiting. I just click on it, and there it goes. There I am, ready and waiting to go live. Now, when it's time to go live, we just say, send it over. Maybe we just send it with a fade, and there it is. The item, just like we saw before, that was in the live stream, moves over to the left at ready and waiting. Say we don't want that one ready and waiting, we want something else, we'll just click on something else, and there it is. It's ready to go live. So now we have an integrated camera. We have some images. One thing we need is the audio. So we go add audio. Now there's different ways to do this, but the most common way is to click on audio input. And then we look at the devices available. Right now I'm just talking to my computer, so I'm not hooked up to the audio mixer. I'm only hooked up via the microphone that you saw on my head. And there we go. So I'm looking for that. There it is. The one I'm using is the Logitech USB headset. I'll click on that, and I'll say OK. And there it is. it's on. You can see it various ways now. You can see it with the input, and you see this green bar going up and down as I speak. You can also see it over here to the right. This is what we call the audio mixer. Now this gives us some controls. For example, if I want to turn down the output, I can go this direction. Or if I want to turn down the input, I can go this direction. There's a number of things you want to do. For example, you can click on this icon here, and then this icon over here, other controls. One common one that we use is we try to match up the audio with the video, where the lips match the sound that's coming out of them, the lips from the speaker. We found that about 82 milliseconds works. If you don't have this set up automatically, there's a way to do that. You just grab this little bar and move it till you find 82 milliseconds. Okay, we've got a couple of images. We've got one camera for now, and we've got the audio. Let's see one more thing. We can create what are known as overlays. Let's see what an overlay is by clicking on it. I'm going to click this thing, Title Overlay, and then I'm going to select something. Let's select, say, this one, and click OK, and there it appears. Now, it appears with some generic things, so it says headline here. So I'm going to say, let's just put my name in there. And there's something called description, and we'll say, let's just say this is a vMix tutorial. And I go click, and it's off, and you can see it down here. Now, I could certainly click on it and put it up there in the ready and waiting, and then I could send it across, and there it is. But that's not what these things are for. I'm going to put the camera back in the live window. I think I'll put an image there. What these things are for is they're overlays. They're supposed to go on top or lay on top of an image or a camera or something. And all you have to do is click a number, any number you like, but just sort of keep track of it. So I'm going to click number 1, and there it goes. And when I want to get rid of it, I can click number 1, and it's gone. So I click it 1, and there it is again. I can go up to this little bar here and control it as well. I click a 1, and there it's gone. And so that's the basics of it. You're going to get more overlays. Maybe I'll have an overlay, the old label 2 or 3 or whatever, and you'll click on wherever it might be, and you'll note it up here as well as another way to click it. So let's go back to what we're up to. I'm going to put please stand by. I'm going to put the second slide here, and I'm going to say please stand by, and so we're streaming. And if you're streaming, the next thing you want to do is send another image there, get the camera ready to go, and when you've had a moment or two with that image, you fade it over. And while this person is talking, namely me, you can click on what the subject is or whatever you want on your overlay, and there it goes. So I've showed you the mechanics of moving around, but let's look at how we stream. See, there's a button down here called Stream and so forth. Now you're going to stream to YouTube, and there's several ways to do it. The one that we use most often is we click at YouTube. We get right on YouTube. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to find YouTube. And we have an account at YouTube. And we sign in. And we're there. Now what you do is pretty simple. You just look at the icon here. It says create. And you click on it. And you have the choice to upload a video or go live. Going live is streaming. So we click go live. YouTube Studio comes up and it gets you ready. What we do is we start by adding the new title and so forth. You can see there's a title in here that we used last time. I'm just going to click the edit button. I'm going to click here and write a new title down. Let's call it Testing the Stream. And there's no scripture here, so we'll just say this is a test. And the pastor is not part of this, but we'll go Tester Tom. And then if you're streaming live, you want it on public, because I don't want people that are subscribed to our stream to get confused. So I'm going to stream it privately. They won't see this. You can choose a category. We just leave it on education. You can choose a thumbnail if you want, which would be just an image of some sort. I'll do that. You can do change, and then we'll go look for an image somewhere. I think I've got something here. Inputs. I'm not sure what this is, but let's click on it. There's the image. Okay. What a thumbnail is what YouTube uses as the very first thing that viewers see. This identifies the stream and the eventual saved video. You can put it on a playlist if you want. We have certain playlists that we've created. All this does is sort the video. And so I'll put it there. And you're pretty well done. There's nothing else really to think about. So we hit save, and now we're ready to go. But we don't go yet until vMix sends it down the stream. So we get back into vMix. We're done with YouTube. I think I'll set things up the way we had it one time. Slide this over and put this in that place. And so the idea is now we're ready to stream. We do want to tell vMix where the YouTube is. So let's go back to YouTube for a moment. And what you do is you see the stream key. All we do is hit copy, and that copies the streaming key. And now we can go to vMix at its gear icon, and we're going to tell it's going to go YouTube Live, and we're going to insert the streaming key, which happened to be the same one as last time, and we're going to go save and close. Now we're all set. YouTube knows that there is a vMix ready to roll. When we're ready to stream, all we have to do is click stream. So here we go, click it. You see the orange, now it's pink, it's streaming. And we could probably tell it's streaming if we go over to the YouTube and wait for a second. And here it comes, and there's the stream. It's all started up. Let's go back to vMix. Let's click, I probably shouldn't have had the overlay on. We'll click off that. Anyhow, we're streaming. There's the introductory screen, please stand by. Then we're have another screen that tells that it's the worship service in this case. We'll click on the camera, and there's the talking head. We'll fade that person over, and we'll identify that person by clicking on the overlay. And there we go. And we're on our way streaming a video. Now, there's going to be a lot more inputs, and we'll show you what we use in reality while streaming Sunday church service. But for now, let's just say we're done. And how do we end? Very easy. We just click the word stream again. It says you want to stop it. You say yes, and it begins to stop. Let's go back to YouTube for a minute and see what's going on. You can see that it's just starting to stop now. The word says, okay, we're ending shortly, and there it is. I always like to click on here, just not particularly necessary, but I just do it to say I'm ending the stream and I'm all done. Let's see what happened to that stream. We're going to click here. We're going to go to my channel. We're going to click here again. We're at the YouTube account, YouTube Studio. And then we're going to click Content, where the videos are stored. We have two types of videos, ones that we directly uploaded and others that we streamed and that were saved. And they're called live. So we're going to click on that. And there we see what we just streamed. I could click on that and click a little more just to get it going, and there it goes, as you can tell. There's one more type of input I'd like to show you. It's called a multi-view input. Actually, it captures several inputs all into one, and it makes things very convenient for certain situations. As you can see right now, I just have a camera setting on me, but I'm going to add a couple more inputs. I'm going to add an image. There we go. Click on it. And I'm going to add something you haven't seen yet. I'm going to add a video. In this case, it's a QuickTime video that of one that I did previously that's posted on YouTube. So I'll open that up. And look at this video here. Let me put it in the left-hand waiting place. It's sort of ready and to go. You don't see the video. Now if I fly it over, let's do a wipe. It's going to start up. I want to show you live streaming to YouTube, a complete set. Now what I just did was I lowered the volume with this control here from nothing to 0, just to keep things straight here. You can hear my voice demonstrated at this point. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put it back over to the left for a moment, and now you see all the how far it's gone, like 30 seconds. I'm just going to reset that by just pulling on the bar here. Maybe I'll move it just a tad bit so we can see it there, just like that. And now we have an image, a camera on me, and a video. And I want to all combine that into one input. What do? Well, I just add a new input by clicking on Add Input on the right side and clicking blank. And before I forget, I'm going to click on here, and under General, I'm going to call this my multi-view input. And now I'm going to capture all three of these in my multi-view input. Go back and click on the icon again. And I'm going to click on this thing that says Layers Multi-View. I'm going to start here. These different boxes allow me to click on different inputs that are available. I'm going to start with clicking on number 1, and I'll use the integrated camera as my first input, and there I am. The second input, I'm going to use my image, and there it is. Now notice it went over the top, but that's no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click to the right here and say Edit. And then I'm going to use these controls. One that's the most useful is Zoom. I'm going to reduce the size of that image. And there it is. And I'll take that image and I'm just going to grab it and pull it, say, over in the top corner. Now I'm going to go back to the layers in multi-view and grab the video that I had. There it is, the streaming demo. It went over the top too, but just like before, we can edit, reduce the size, and we're going to move it somewhere. Where would be a good spot? Maybe right here would be okay for now. There. I'll put the multi-view input in the left side, ready and waiting. And now let's say that I want to have a conversation. All I do is click on it, move it over to the live screen, and it's on its way. I'm going to verify that the multi-view input is moving. It is, and see the 15 seconds, the 16 seconds, the 17 seconds. Video is working, and you see that now. And so I could be talking presently with a little headline here, streaming setup, and I'm having a conversation about what you're seeing on the screen here. And then theoretically this could also play its volume if I close my mouth and allow that video to play its sound, but I'm not going to at this stage. So, around the horn one more time. What did I do? I found inputs that I wanted to put all together. One was, in this case, was integrated camera, there was an image, and there was a video itself. This time it was a QuickTime video. I threw them all in the same location, which is called a multi-view input, and then I displayed it here on the screen. We use the multi-view input here and there for complex things that we do. We want to not have to layer overlays and other things all at once because it gets a little complex. We want it all set up. And so we do that with a multi-view and we accomplish our tasks. Now that we see how vMix works, let's look at what we do in a little more complex situation, like what our church does for Sunday worship. I'm not going to show you everything. We'll show you some more things. We've got the two things ready to go, two different images, and we've got a lot of other inputs as you can see below, and I'm going to let it take us down a little further and look at all those things, images and overlays and whatnot. What we don't have yet is camera, so let's put a camera in here. What you do is you click on camera, you find a camera, here's one, camera link 4K, and you put it in. Put the camera in without audio, so we'll say none. The reason being, cameras pick up audio, but there's no particular reason for we to have the camera, in that we can use the audio that comes from the sound mixer in the sanctuary. So we get another camera on and ready to go. Do the same thing, say none for the audio, and ready to go. Finally, let's go get an audio itself. So we'll click on and we'll go to audio input and we'll look for certain audio inputs. In this case, we want to look at what is said USB audio device, because that's where the audio input comes in. And there it is. You can see the green bars going up and down as I'm speaking, which would prove that the audio is there and working. We want to rename these cameras just so we can keep track of them. We'll call one the worship cam, and the other, we'll click on that and rename it as the pastor cam. This is done by just clicking the icon on each of the inputs, and you see that there's various choices. Under General, you can name the input. We want to get these cameras up at the top where they'll be most useful. So we click on each input and click the letter Z, and they come up all the way to the top. And there they are in place, pretty ready to go. As you can see, we have a multi-view so far as some layers, some overlays, and we're going to add a camera to it. And there we go, we add a camera to it. So now we got a camera and a couple of overlays all together, and that'll help us later on when we at intermission, when we want to say welcome people. At the same time, just back the camera off and see others in the crowd. We've got a couple of images ready to go. Just have to click stream like I just did there, and it'll start streaming. And we'll click on over to the slide that's in color, and off it goes. You can see in the right hand corner that we have a timer up there. Now I didn't set it because today is not Sunday, but normally I'd set it and have a countdown to when we would start, giving us maybe 9 minutes to go and maybe not going live till about 2 or 3 minutes to go. It helps the audience know when we're ready to start too. They turn on their television and they say that 2 or 3 minutes to go and things are fine. On the left hand side, you can see that what we're doing is arranging one of the cams by using the pan and tilt and the remote zoom. Now when we're ready with that, we click it on over, and you can imagine that there are people there maybe singing or whatnot, and there they go. While this is happening, people are singing, we want to send an overlay to the audience. Here's one. Let's worship together. Church is open. You've got the two inputs going all at once. Now we get rid of the overlay, and we end up back where we started with the camera, and we move along. Here's another overlay that we could use, and as a scripture that somebody could read, a little bit small in writing, so you'd hope that it would be read on a TV screen and not just iPhone or something. It would be nicer if we would have made those a little larger, those words. And we're ready to use the multi-view that we set up. And this is now, say, we're at intermission, music has been done, and people are greeting each other or just about to greet each other. When that happens, fade it over. And there you go. It's now going, maybe music is playing along with it as part of this multi-view. And we have another camera in the left-hand panel ready to go when we want. And notice I'm moving it, centering it a little bit. Maybe I'm getting it ready for the next stage, which is announcements. And so we might have a pastor come up and make some announcements to the crowd and to the audience, the streaming audience. Make an announcement. We might put an overlay in the pastor's name, and then some of the things that are happening that he's speaking to. When that's finished, we can go another direction. Perhaps the pastor himself walks up, and we introduce him with an overlay with his name, maybe put the scripture that he's speaking to up, and there we go. While this is happening, of course, we prepare the next slide on the left-hand side. In this case, we have a camera ready to go, and as it's ready, we see that we're going to put an overlay up and say that maybe this sermon is finished, we say, okay, thank you for coming, and we hope that you follow the Holy Spirit. And maybe as the pastor ended, we'll center the camera over to the worship team to do a final song. We might flip to another camera there. But once we're done, we're going to flip to a final slide, an image that basically says thanks for coming and gives some information, in this case, a ticker.